Hey guys, have you ever wanted to call crits and not get punished for it? Here's a deck that probably is better than Chris Rain anyway. It's Kyrie, which should have been the fatal one. Today I'm with Nat as usual for these generally not so Keter decks. Ironically enough, for the main Keter guy that I know. But hey, Kyrie, the wife. Let me show you the price of the waifu text. so for our first starter, our starter is the original Kyrie starter, but with a nice up rare of LSP, because full art and gorgeousness is, because we are already so deep in the waifu text, let's just go further. Second one is so this is the encounter mermaid right line, which a lot of mermaid based Vanguards will definitely use. Kyrie and Chris Rain definitely use, because they're mermaids. Wow, what a surprise. This is a mermaid deck, guys, come on. Anyway, let's get it together. So this one, it basically states when it rolled upon by her name is French. Aqua, right. It's basically when it's rolled upon by Aqua, you soul blast one and then you look at top 7 for a grade 2 or greater unit and add it to your hand. Then the second one is when it's rolled over by Mermaid Vanguard, then you search for top 5 instead for a grade 2 or above Mermaid unit and add it to your hand. So basically you just get to filter a lot for like the first 2 right lines, which is, I guess that's why we just don't use Kyrie's right line anyway. Is there a benefit to using Kyrie's right line?
Well, it's a yes and no, but ultimately the results, because the grade 1, grade 2 allows you to be a bit more aggressive, because the Vanguard attacks lets you bounce a rear guard. The grade 1 lets you call whatever you discarded for the right line. So, but you're going to +1 from riding over anyways, and it kind of filters. So then this is ultimate, because Kyrie is also very piece reliant. So having the encounter right lines definitely will help the deck a lot. Yeah.
So yeah, as we learned from base rule, filter is good. Checking triggers are better. So the first one basically says that does it check for opponents? It doesn't, it's just on place. The continuous effect, when any unit placed during the turn gains 5,000 power.
If your grade 3 and above, opponent's grade 3 above.
If your opponent, there it is, the checks for your opponent's grade 3 and above. Then the second ability states that on attack, you return 2 cards from your rear to your hand, and then you can counterblast 1, then you can call 2 of cards from your hand to the rearguard circle. And if your opponent is grade 3, it gains an additional drive. So it's basically just like Magnolia, and I can't think of another one.
Basically helps you to catch up going second kind of mechanic.
Yeah. Basically kind of in a blind going first matchup is certainly quite funny of a meta to have a catch up mechanic that is this hilarious. So you get a draw you get a drive check with an additional. That's great, and it's +1, so your opponent can't elementary your face. Unfortunate. Anyway, then the second ability is if you persona this turn. Is it? Then you get a bounce 2?
Yes, correct. If you don't persona, you only bounce 1.
Yeah, so but that's kind of that's the joke of Kyrie, is the whole deck just returns something else to hand anyway. So before you know it, your opponent sees the board and it's gone. So Vaga be them, it doesn't do anything. Although for buff, I guess it might be worth, who knows. Or for buff, they'll get the draw cards, so that's gonna be quite a suffering. The grade 3s, the only grade 3s units we have is our personas, because we can persona now because we're grade 3. Then our regalious piece for our grade 2 is the ace unit, of course. The unique skill is on place energy blast 3 and choose one of your rear guards, and it bounces back to your hand at the end of the turn. Then what does it check? What's the second one?
Sorry?
The second auto ability. How does it gain power? What is it checking for?
Second, basically, first one checks his opponent's grade 3 and above. Then the second part checks whether you have called 2 or more cards this turn.
Which you have because Kyrie calls the whole board from that turn. So
yeah, that's the general idea.
so it stacks power above. So it's 25k, and then because you placed it this turn, it gets another 5, so it's 35k. So you get to be 35k minimum. So 10, so 20, then plus 5, 5, then Kyrie, 5.
Oh, total lah. Total's around 30 actually, it's not 20.
20.
5 plus 5 plus 10. 30k.
Yeah, 30k. So your opponent is staring down quite a scary board just by the ace unit alone. Of course, you have your other grade 2 cards. We run 2 of these card. I can't read this. Oh god. On place, when a unit is bounced, return back to your hand. This turn, it counterblast. No, on place counterblast 1, you look at the top 7 for Mermaid, and then you add it to your hand. If you did not, you can countercharge. So it's a free cost basically. There's a no risk function. Then at the end of when your unit is bounced during the turn, you can energy pass 4, and then you can basically stand. Is it standing the column?
Yes, it does stand the column. So basically, when it sees rear guard on the front row return to hand, you can energy blast 4 to stand the column. Yeah, that's the idea.
So that's how you get your 5 attacks.
5 attacks. Yes, correct. You're right.
So that's one way. Next, Chris Rain uses this, but hey, we have better Chris Rain. It's kind of like Inlet with Maelstrom, you know. We use their toys and we show that we can do it better. The only effect that matters is if my camera can focus. The second effect, or is it the first effect?
Mainly is the second effect. First effect requires the Vanguard to be Christian.
Yeah, okay, so the second effect is on place. You have. It basically just increases power if you have 4 different name units on the field? Is it? I think that's it.
Basically, you know how Christian mechanic works? It checks how many different names you have.
So if you have 4 different names, then you get 5,000 power.
There's 3 different names, you get 5,000 power.
Oh.
Yes.
Then the 4 different names is...
4 different names is at end of battle, you get to return a rear guard back to hand after end of battle.
Ah, so you get to bounce even more cards.
Yes.
So you can call your crits and PGs, and then you can search them out.
Yeah, so I mean that's basically, as you said, nothing stays on the board. Yeah.
Including this, one of the interesting cards. It gets boosts because your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Kyrie, and then it gets 5,000 power. So your opponent's speed staring down a 20k booster. At the end of turn, this unit. At the end of the turn, you can counterblast 1. Put this into your soul. Choose one of your. What does this? Choose one of your units and it gets bounced back. Do you choose multiple? Or is it grade restrict?
You do get to choose multiples, but that is apply only for grade 4 Kyrie. So
okay.
it basically checks for every 2 grades on your Vanguard circle.
Oh yeah, there it is. Every 2 grades. So you can only bounce 1 because Kyrie doesn't increase grade. It's kind of like Magnolia with one of the cards. They tend to have that funny every 2 grades function, and then you end up no longer using it because you're grade 3 now. But you get a persona, so that's fun. Then we got this one. On place, if you have a Vanguard with a grade 3, it looks like if your opponent is grade 3, it gets 5,000 power. And when it sees a unit get bounced, instead of the energy blast like the previous one, you soul blast 1 and you stand it. You stand the column as well. And then the last one checks for grade 4 Kyrie. So you can't use the second half of the effect.
Yes, correct. So this functions similarly as the previous the more recent card, where you stand the column basically.
So
just that this one requires a soul blast one.
So pick your cost, but you're definitely hitting 5 attacks with at least 1 counterblast and either a soul or 4 energy. Energy cyclers, because they're good and they also do Kyrie things like if you persona the turn, you counterblast 1 or energy blast 3 and choose one of your units on the rear guard and they will bounce back to hand at the end of the turn.
Also plus 5 hit.
And it gains more power, which makes Kyrie scale kind of scarily fast. Then you have your 2 order searcher. End of the turn or end of the battle, I'm not sure. I can't check. It says turn. Oops. Can the camera focus? Can I stop shaking the camera? Let's see if I can read this deck. I've never really used this very heavily. It looks like it says end of the turn this unit. Put this unit into your soul. And then you can search your deck for 1 order and you add it to your hand. And that's all it does. So we run 2 of this. What orders are we searching? Well, Bracing Angel Ladder, which we all know, basically puts itself to soul. And a Vanguard gains 5,000 power. And now your units can be moved by your opponent's card effect. But you don't have a field at the end of the turn. So it's only useful for niche cases in that sense. But it's mainly for the soul and the draw, so cycle is cycle. Then your Blitz order, which requires the condition for the 3,000 power is if your Vanguard gets hit at least once during that turn. So don't use this when you have 5 damage. You're not gonna save yourself unless you can 6 damage heal like some protagonists. Then the waifu text of the set of this build is Eureka. We have the reprint Eureka. 3 reprint Eurekas from DSS05. Relatively old. If you guys don't know this one is basically when a unit is placed up in front of her, she gains 5,000 power, but with Kyrie you place itself, it gets 5,000. So it's an 18k booster basically. And at the end of the unit, at the end of the turn, at the end of the battle, this unit boosted, so +1, and then you bounce the unit in front. Like I said, return everything to hand and leave nothing on board. Sorry, this is literally one of the more expensive cards in this deck. There is no going around this card. This card is a little too strong. Every new lyrical deck asks for it, and I cannot figure out for the life of me in Bushiroad's idea of it. Oh well. Then we have our Elementary Sanctitude. We are using the Crest version. Probably kind of a remnant from the Grade 4 Kyrie era.
To be honest, yeah, you're right. I just didn't don't have plans to change it at the moment. Doesn't really matter most of the time.
For all intents and purposes, it's just to bypass guard restrict and nothing else. And then we have our 3 mermaid PGs, because we want to stay on theme here. So that is the normal units and orders. So next we have our yellow OT, because piece removal is good, and more piece removal means more power, and you get to draw if your opponents have no field. So I guess if you're in a mirror match with Kyrie, you get to draw 3 times. That's funny. We run fronts because we want more power. We run 8 crits, but we get Bang Dream vanilla crits, a full art, and then the same girl but in different crits. And then obviously we have our heals, our shiny heals, and then the full art heals, and the last heal, which is just the same girl. It's just vanilla heals here. So my experience with this deck is usually during the opponent's side, but I gotta say, what it is, it's quite the threat that Kyrie is really strong. It's weak to basically if you attack it hard enough and it loses hand, it doesn't have a board either. It can... I'm not sure if the board recovery is very high if you'll dwindle their hand, but I'm pretty sure you can't dwindle their hand if they're always plussing and not minusing. You know how, like, a lot of opponents will be like, oh, when you call a unit, it's a minus from hand. Kyrie says, no, it's not. It's just a plus because it returns back to hand. The general combo is just using units to bounce other units, and then Kyrie bounces the units that is at the beginning of the whole, at the end of the chain that cannot be bounced. So it's like Eureka bounces Pacifica, this energy cycler bounces her, then this bounces maybe another unit, and then Kyrie bounces the last unit, which is maybe an ace unit or whatever the case may be. But other than that, you're staring down like 10 and 8, then you get, so it's a 28k column, then you gain another, each one gains 5, so it's 38k column, then your persona becomes 48k, and then numbers get ugly fast. Certainly one that I underestimated when, I mean I shouldn't, because waifu tags exist and Kyrie is strong. It's definitely stronger than when I saw it during the days when I was playing it, when I saw it during the Grade 4 era. And it definitely does relieve some of the issues of it overall. But although from my experience, you cannot recklessly spend the resources. Kyrie feels like a more finely tuned machine than even buff Sakura at times. It is mainly a tanky card deck. But what do you say? Like, it's too, like, the resources are like extremely tight from my experience.
Resources, like finding pieces is one thing. Usually games, if you don't find your pieces, you just can't do much. I mean, like, in your worst case scenario, you're like calling triggers to attack, returning them back to hand. But I mean, that's an option, but at the same time, ultimately Kyrie is very piece reliant. Yeah. If you don't like play more aggressively, you'll probably get outrun by most of the decks in the current game. You do get away with like a lot of retiring, you do get around a lot of like retiring, locking stuff. Yeah, because of how the deck works. I think that is one big big advantage that the deck has.
In this current meta of piece removal, you get to do that shenanigans. So overall, it's a fine deck. It's like everybody. I mean, some people do say this is just Grade 4 Kyrie in Grade 3 form, but I'd say it's just a better Chris Rain. I'm dunking on Chris Rain today. Oh god, but that's because it feels like Chris Rain, but Chris Rain does it on one turn, or Kyrie just does it on every turn. So I don't know why Busher made a new Vanguard at that point. What is Chris Rain's gimmick other than be a semi-Highlander, which isn't even true Highlander? And they released a true Highlander Vanguard, which I don't know if I'll ever make a video on that, but that's for another time. As always, like and subscribe. Come down to ACME in Singapore, and like and subscribe. I'll see you another time. Bye.